Our next guest is an Emmy-winning actor you know from shows like HBO's Girls, Andor, and The Dropout. He returns as Cousin Richie for season 3 of the acclaimed FX series The Bear, which premieres June 27th on Hulu. Please welcome to the show, Ebon Moss-Bachrach, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Let's get this out of the way. I'm very happy you're here. You were booked to come right when the strike started. I was about to get you on the show.
Okay.
And so I'm glad we fixed it because you're an Emmy winner. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks.
It was I will say.
Okay.
I'm assuming the same for you. One of the really special things is you were not the sole winner from the show, and it does seem like you guys have a real family atmosphere around the Bear, so it must have been cool, like one after another.
Yeah, that was the nice thing about that night, is that it did feel like a big team kind of win. And I think Jeremy won, and then maybe about 15 minutes later, we all, there's so many things to do backstage there, so you kind of get backed up, and I would run. When I ran back, give her a hug. It was nice. It was a special night. It was nice.
This is a show where I feel like people think they know the characters very well. You're walking around Brooklyn. Are people yelling out your name now?
Yeah. I've become like, Brooklyn's cousin, I feel like, in a way, like, it's like, it's a lot of that.
Yeah.
It's nice. Sometimes.
This is a Chicago show. You look different seeing you here in New York than you look on the show in Chicago. And it's not just makeup. You're living a different life.
I think on like a dietary, like my blood's changed.
Yeah.
You lived in Chicago,
I lived in
right?
Chicago. I went to Chicago for 2 days this weekend. I feel like my blood changed.
Yeah, it's a lot. My sodium levels go like through the roof. I kind of like it for Richie to have a kind of sort of ruddy, puffy, kind of swollen, sort of like.
Yeah.
I feel like he's sort of like half man, half hot dog. You know what I mean? Like I'm realizing now as I describe. But it's also like a pleasure to do that in Chicago.
It really is. The way you can eat bad in Chicago is one of the best things in the world.
Yeah.
I like that you basically made a choice. You could either sit in makeup for 3 hours a day or just have a regular Chicago lunch.
Yeah, exactly.
The show has a unique chaos to it, and I think it's the chaos of a kitchen. But then there was a really special episode this past season, Forks, which was this very quiet episode where...
Yeah.
And it must have felt so different to film.
Yeah, it was like being on a different show. I felt lonely, kind of. We were in this, this really like, almost, it looks like a science lab, that restaurant. I don't go to many Michelin. I'm not like a big fine dining person, so this kind of austere, intense kind of like aggressive lighting, it was sort of new. I mean, I was working with great actors, but a lot of that was, just me by myself. I'm kind of missing my homies, a little bit. Yeah.
But I guess that is like a nice parallel to what Cousin Richie was going through as well. Like,
for
just
sure.
being away, doing a new thing. So.
Yeah, just like what is this? Like where am I? And also like the way they have the camera department and the directors. They pull different visual references for every episode and for the whole season. And there was a lot of pictures of like 2001 and other sci-fi movies on the mood board for that episode.
When you said 2001, I was wondering, I'm like, is that a fancy restaurant I'm supposed to know about?
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh no, good, the one I knew. I knew.
Yeah, 2001 Madison Park.
Yeah.
Like that one. Yeah.
It does sound like a place you'd go, oh, you can't get in there.
No.
You can't get into 2001 Madison
They have
Park.
11 Michelin
they
stars
do.
or something like that.
They have all the stars. They stole stars from other restaurants.
Yeah. Exactly.
Have you done, I know some of the cast have talked about talking to other people who work in kitchens, like trying to go in kitchens as research. Did you do any of that in the prep for this?
I went to La Bernardin a couple times and sort of wrote it off, but I feel like that was just kind of like, I just love that restaurant. No, I don't really have to like,
I'm really hoping that IRS isn't watching right now. Man. That's a crime. I'm not going to abet this crime.
They got bigger fish to fry.
They do have bigger fish to fry.
They got nothing on me. No, my guy, especially like in the first season, was just disruptive. It was like I don't know. I don't know what I would have done. Follow people around, like learn how to smoke cigarettes. You know,
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you're like, I think I can do Cousin Richie, like
Yeah.
right off the bat.
But those guys trained a lot. I trained a lot. Lionel, Jeremy, Liza. Those guys all, put in a lot of work. I did not.
You had worked in Chicago, I guess, almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And then you came back, and there was a Teamster that you knew from the previous work.
Yeah.
And got to hang out with him again.
Yeah, so my buddy Rob, who we became really close when I was making this movie there a very long time ago, and we sort of stayed in touch over the years. And then when I landed in Chicago to make the pilot of The Bear in July, like from the car, driving to my hotel, I called him up, and he was like, okay, you're not going to your hotel. Come meet me at this restaurant right away. This was 4 p.m. The restaurant opened at 5. I had my bags. I kind of knocked. They lifted up the gate. They let me in. It was a full party in progress, which I don't understand how that, like, what the end game is. Like,
Yeah.
if like, it's a family Italian restaurant and people are coming in with their kids at 5 p.m., how you go from, like, bottles of booze on the bar and everything, just, like, madness and shots. And, like, I took 2 steps in, and I got hit in the head with, like, a fairly large dildo. And it like hit me in the head, like dropped on the ground. I kind of put my bags down, and it was just like, oh, this was like my Chicago baptism. Has that happened to you?
I think almost everybody in Chicago has been hit with a daytime dildo.
Yeah.
A lot of other cities you need for like the, to be dark before the dildos come out, but in Chicago.
No, in Chicago, I think it was probably an alderman that threw it out.
Yeah, exactly. And there's plenty of aldermen who, they just have like duffel bags full of dildos.
Yeah, exactly.
They just throw at their constituents all day long. You are a swimmer.
Troubled city.
You are a swimmer?
Yeah.
Were you did you swim competitively in high school or anything?
No.
Okay.
I was never a good swimmer. But I've always I just love to swim.
Yeah.
I love being especially in the ocean.
And you have a specific kind of swimsuit that you feel like fits your style the best.
Well, I mean, especially like in this country, I feel like men's shorts and men's swimsuits have a lot of fabric in them.
I agree with
I mean,
that.
I see like the standard men's bathing suit, and I'm like, that's easily like 9 bathing suits. You know, we should
Oh, so you want a 1/9 of a norm?
Yeah, I want like a 9th. Yeah, a 9th. And so I've like scoured the world on like my travels with my family, like different flea markets and bazaars, and in Ukraine and Germany, Greece, Romania, Bulgaria, like especially like Eastern Europe is a good place to find like a nice square cut.
So you don't want a Speedo. You want like sort of a very tight, like square cut.
I don't want like what you think about as like the classic, like the triangle. I prefer like a short square cut.
Okay, gotcha.
Which can be kind of elusive. Germany is...
That's the place?
That's good, yeah.
Now, I'm a little worried Germany's not the place, but you don't want to give away your secrets, so you're trying to send us all to Germany.
It's a big country.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it, Don't go to Hamburg. There's nothing there. Like...
So we have a photo of you, and this gives us a good sense of what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And so I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good. I don't like this at all. I don't.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's the distinction.
Yeah.
This is in Croatia. I was about to swim like a big sort of non-competitive, but like a race in some way, like a big. They called it the marathon. So it was like I think 2.5 miles. And yeah.
When you walk in to a flea market with this look up here, I feel like they know exactly what you're looking for down there.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, wait, come with us. Come in the back.
They say, yes, sir, don't ignore all this.
Yeah.
This is for the shorn idiots.
Yeah.
Come on.
You have a refined look.
Yeah.
What was the length of the Croatian swim race?
I think it was about 2.5 miles.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like this little island called Vis that we spent a lot of time.
Beautiful.
Way far out in the Adriatic. And they do this swim once a summer where they take a bunch of people. And I was like swimming in there's professionals and then there's amateurs.
Okay.
And so they drop us all off at this little island that's a lighthouse, and then you swim back into the harbor. And they control all the traffic. There's no boats coming in. And
How long does it take for you? What's like to...
That took, I don't know, maybe an hour and 15 minutes, something like that.
Well, I will say, it strikes me as a claustrophobic nightmare to be swimming with other people. Do you like the vibe? This is good?
No, that's horrible. The kind of orgiastic beginning and stuff. And it's primarily Croatians. I don't speak Croatian. They are, Like I think the average height of Croatian is like fairly tall. You know, they're like big folks and like big hands, big feet, and I kind of let them go. I let them go.
Yeah.
Because
That's smart. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very confusing, and I don't know. You're a runner, right? Do you run a lot?
Yeah.
Do you run in races or anything?
Yeah, I have, but like ideally, what I like to do is run where no one is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like for me, it's the same. And like that thought of being in that crowd and everyone, and then it does something weird too. Like, 'cause swimming for me is like a way to chill out and kind of forget about things and sort of zone out, let my mind wander. But then that competition, it just draws you in, and everyone's like hustling, and you find yourself doing something. I'm like, I promised myself I was just gonna take it easy, but then you find it's like.
Well, I always, when I do race, my finish is so badly when they go, what happened? I'm like, I just let everybody go first.
Yeah. It's not about that.
It's not about that.
Yeah.
I was like, you guys are all, like, you guys want a different thing out of this, so you go.
Yeah.
I'll just see you at the end. I'm like just a different vibe.
I'm just I'm like more evolved. I'm in a different reincarnation cycle than you guys. You'll get there. You'll get there.
But you won't get there today with how fast you're running. What a delight to have you here, Evan. Your work is so great, not just in The Bear, but in everything. Thanks so much for being here, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Evan Moss-Bachrach, everyone. Season 3 of The Bear premieres June 27th on Hulu. We'll be right back with more Late Night.